Hello and welcome to the Goddess Perspective podcast. This is the podcast where we're talking about spirituality, New Age controversy. We're diving into the shadow realms and discussing all things metaphysical and how you can anchor your metaphysical knowledge into the physical. We're talking reality creation, legacy building, and harnessing your internal power. I'm your host, Magical Mads, and welcome to this month's episode. Hey friends, how are we doing today? I'm super excited for our topic today. This is something that shifted my life when I first stumbled upon it a few years ago, and I'm really excited to kind of summarize what I've learned, what I know to be true here on the podcast for you today. I was originally going to do this as an Instagram live, but I decided that I really like the community that we've built over here on the podcast, and I want to save some of the special kind of nuanced conversations for the topics that we talk about over here. So if you've been wondering why I haven't been on IG Live in a little while, about 2 weeks, this is why. I was saving this juicy conversation for today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I thought it would be fun for us to kind of cozy up here on the couch and have a nice little fun little drink together. My drink is still piping hot, so we're gonna wait to sip on that. The weather here has been like kind of cooling while also warming up, the magic of spring. So it's beautiful, it's lovely, and I also feel like it's such a reflection of my own internal state right now, which has been really beautiful to actually experience the seasons and notice how it's kind of an external reflection of what's going on within me and noticing like the power that I truly have in holding space for my reality, like noticing the ways that my life is really just projected outwards on a screen in front of me to experience. Because I could also be somewhere where it's really warm and we don't necessarily experience seasons, right? And that's where I was last year. And that was reflective of my internal state last year. And so it's really beautiful. It's been really amazing to actually allow myself to surrender to the seasons and also to notice how this is exactly the medicine that I'm needing based on what's going on within me. And that kind of leads us into our topic for today, which is dun 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 dun. Your entire world is your projection. It's all a projection of what you are going on or what's going on within you. Excuse me. It's a projection of what you are allowing to persist in your reality. And there's nuances to this conversation, right? Like there's certain things that it's like, okay, we must surrender to what's going on outside of us. But ultimately, it's happening outside of us because inside, in our internal landscape, inside, that dynamic is still in existence. That dynamic is being persisted in. And I like to think of the internal landscape, and I've seen other creators talk about this, but this is something that I came into on my own, like understanding internal family systems. And I started to notice like how the inside of my mind, how the inside of my body is really like a house. And so there are different rooms, and sometimes there are things that we don't really want to deal with right away. And so we lock it up in the attic, right? Or we put it down in the basement, right? And we're like, okay, we're not going to deal with that right now. But sometimes on a rainy day or just, whenever, those things that we're not facing, they come up and they're shown to us externally. And it's like this reminder of like, "Oh, you have that living in your basement, like, you better go check that out, sister, like, you better go and see what's going on down there." Um, and it's not like I mean, if you don't face it, it will blow up in your face. But if you allow yourself to kind of be in this continual exploration of your insides, these things will kind of come up naturally for you, and it can be this really, like, beautiful flow. It's only when we resist facing what's going on within us that it blows up in our face. It's only when the things in the basement are suppressed for so long and we don't actually face them that it becomes a problem externally. And so there's this ideology a lot that I see when we talk about this concept that, there are some things that are just outside of you and like it's not in you. And there's nuances to this. So I'm going to say a few pieces on this. If you have an emotional reaction to it, it's still going on within you. Whether it's a good reaction or bad reaction, however you like even categorize that, it's still going on within you. When you're in the victim role, you're likely to disconnect from what's going on outside of you entirely and say, "Oh, that's not me." And the victim shows up in a few different ways. We go deeper inside of this into we go deeper into this inside of managing the mind. But the victim shows up in a few different ways. It shows up as like the judge, it can show up as like the hero or the healer. It can show up as the victim, or it can show up, in your own unique, specific archetype way. Um, but at the basis of it, it's not taking accountability for your experience. And in doing that, you actually cut yourself off from being the creator. You cut yourself off from actually being able to enact change in your reality. And so when we're in the victim mentality or in the victim role, we'll likely say that the outside influenced us, but really, you're the creator. And so actually you influenced it. How does that feel to sit with that? Like, whoa, I'm influencing my external reality. If you're in the victim role, this is a lot of energy to take on, and you're like, oh my God, like that's so overwhelming. When you're in the role of the creator, when you're in the role of your higher self or your inner being, it's like, whoa, and it's really empowering. So it's about how you learn to show up in the different roles of your life. And playing with different archetypes can be really beneficial for this. Also, understanding the laws of the universe and kind of how everything works together can be really influential, which is why we go into this inside of the Witch's Coven. And additionally, it's important to notice where the mind goes and where the body is living, what the body is experiencing. And so, this is why working with these two different realms, which it's really just one realm, simultaneously in congruence with one another is so empowering and so impactful. And that's another big component of what we do inside the Witches Coven, what we do inside my world in general. It's bringing a bridge to consciousness and subconsciousness. It's bridging the world between the two things that we have decided are different or separate from each other and making them one. And so the key reframe here is the world isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. And I'm currently reading a book. it's not out here, but I'm currently reading a book called The Power of Belief by Ray Dodd, and it's an exploration of Toltec foundational frameworks and working with the power of belief. And a lot of what he talks about in the beginning of the book is noticing the way that you are projecting your world. Noticing, he calls it the first dream, and this is a common theme in Toltec wisdom. If you know Don Miguel Ruiz, who's the author of the Four Agreements and a bunch of other books, this is like the foundation of his work. And this is actually Ray Dodd. He was mentored by Don Miguel Ruiz. And so, what he talks about in the beginning of the book is a lot about how in the first dream, we kind of inherit this worldview, this system of beliefs. And a lot of the time, it's not actually something that we really feel like choosing. It's more like something we do out of establishing a sense of safety for ourselves. And so we enter into these agreements that then make up the world that we see around us. And those agreements perpetuate the world of our parents. And also, they become the perception, the filter that we see through. And so, our different experiences all end up being filtered through this one persona, this interpreter, he calls it, or this perceptive worldview that then determines the way that we take on the information from outside. And so we can actually take back our power and become the creator instead of the victim, which is what many of us are in the first dream, as he calls it. And so when we notice this, it can be so empowering because when you realize that your beliefs, that all of the things outside of you are just reflecting you back to you, it becomes less of a game of opposition and more of a game of exploration. Every relationship, every frustration, every random challenge is actually just reflecting back to you the parts of you that you haven't faced yet. And it can be humbling. It can be really humbling. I can think of so many situations where I was faced with circumstances, situations, people, places that really challenged my sense of self identity, or the identity that I was assuming myself to be stepping into. And when we're working with conscious reality creation techniques, a lot of the technique is like living in the end, acting as if. And while those are very valuable, and they're effective if you can remain firm in that, a lot of the fun is actually found in those moments of contrast where the thing doesn't actually line up with who you say you're believing yourself to be. And so it becomes about bridging that gap to feel like you are that person, regardless of what's going on in the external. But the thing is, we can get trapped in this victim mentality, this ideology of like, why is this happening to me? And because we don't always recognize our own projections, we sometimes convince ourselves that the external situations are shaping us, influencing us, maybe even victimizing us. And while that can be the reality, and while that can be what you may feel like you're experiencing, The truth is only the truth because you are convicted in it. The truth is only the truth because you place your faith in it, because you are certain of it. So, wouldn't you rather be certain in a truth that makes you feel empowered? And the irony here is actually that when you are the creator, which you are, whether you're aware of it or not, you actually influence the external first. It was actually birthed through you, through your physical vessel first. And this is why awareness is one of the best practices ever. And I know everybody talks about it and they're like, yeah, you gotta meditate and you gotta do mindfulness and da, da, da. But like, really, it is the best practice ever. Because through awareness, you can become aware of things arising within you before they're shown to you in the external. The external is past, is the past. The 3D is the past. What is the present is what's within you in any given moment. And so when you continue to believe that the outside world is influencing you, you're saying the past is influencing you. That's a fucking bar right there. When you take ownership of where you are right now, of how you're feeling right now, when you become aware of what's going on within you, you stop momentum in its tracks. You shift the world from the inside out. Your unprocessed emotions, they show up as patterns. The beliefs that you secretly hold that you're denying yourself from recognizing or feeling, they materialize in your experiences and your habits. And why doesn't your external world shift no matter how much mindset work you're doing, no matter how many affirmations you say in a day? Because your certainty, who you believe yourself to be, is still rooted in the past. It's still rooted based on the feedback that you're getting externally. You're not creating, you're recycling. It's effective, it's easy, but it's not going to get you where you want to go. Your habits, your experiences, your ways of thinking, your external expressions will always show you your state of being and your beliefs. You can say, "Well, I don't believe that," but your actions will show otherwise. And this is why so many people who get into manifestation and who get into belief work and affirmations and all that witchy shit are like, this isn't working. And then they go find God, the external source, right? Not God. We're talking about God, not God. I hope that's clear. For those who aren't watching the video, I'm saying we're talking about God outside, not God inside. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a path. Like, everybody has their own path. But what I know to be true is that as long as you are rooting your value in something outside of you, there is a disconnect within. And so a lot of the time we'll inherit beliefs that live in the body from our parents, and we'll actively, consciously be like, oh no, I don't believe that. But the way that we show up, the way that we move through our lives, the sneaky little beliefs that we hold actually reaffirm that belief system that we say that we're detached from. And so, this is why observing yourself, radical honesty, and awareness is so important in this work. Because it's not just about doing it with the conscious mind, it's actually about allowing yourself to tap into the subconscious, see it without judgment, and fully accept responsibility for everything. Yes, I really mean everything that's going on in the external world. That doesn't mean you make it mean something about you. It doesn't make it mean anything about your value, your self-worth, who you are, who you're becoming. And this is where healthy detachment comes in. And a lot of us never learn to set this boundary because our parents didn't set it with us. If you want to do that, we do that inside of Spark Your Magic, okay? But if you aren't setting the boundary of conscious detachment, which isn't the same as disconnection, this is a very nuanced conversation we're having here. Detachment is allowing something to be without making it mean anything about you. Detachment is allowing yourself to see it objectively. When you're moving based on what's going on outside of you, you're not detached. You're attached to what's going on outside of you, and you're making it mean something about you, and you're like, oh, I gotta move this way, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do this. And you're still living in the past because you're perpetuating that cycle instead of allowing something to be birthed from within you. And how does something come from within you? Stillness, awareness. The fears that you refuse to acknowledge, they manifest in people and situations that force you to look at them. If you don't give the parts of you or the things going on within you the attention that they're actually asking for, they will take your attention from you. And you want to know what the wildest part is? The more that you resist it, the louder the projection gets. And so it's not about disconnecting from what's going on outside of you. This is another thing I see a lot, like with the living in the end, acting as if methodology, which is a great methodology if you do it correctly. But the more that you resist what's going on outside of you, instead of detaching from it, resisting is disconnection, right? You can be detached and not disconnected. But the more that you resist it, the more that you disconnect from it, don't allow yourself to see it, avoid it, the louder the projection gets. And life will keep handing you the same themes until you take responsibility for them. So if something keeps showing up in your reality, whether it's rejection, abandonment, lack, betrayal, it's time to get really fucking honest and ask yourself, where am I rejecting and abandoning myself? What part of me believes this is inevitable? How can I use this same power, believing in the inevitable, in my favor? When you're certain about something, it exists. It's there. A lot of the time, we're certain about things we don't want. You can be certain that something is inevitable for you that you actually do want. That is your power as a conscious creator. You won't be able to harness that power if you're continually avoiding what you're using that power for. So, what part of you believes that this is inevitable? The negative. How can you utilize that same part of you to believe that what you want is inevitable for you? How might you unconsciously be recreating this pattern in your reality? And what actually are you getting out of doing this? Because you wouldn't do it if it didn't serve you in some way. So, what need is this meeting? How is this validating your sense of self? Is it validating the victim complex? When you choose to be the creator, you have to stop validating the victim complex. And then once you own it, you can shift it. And that's where your power actually lies. Not in avoiding, not in distancing yourself. But I will tell you that we learn that pattern of behavior because we're actually afraid of feeling our feelings. And so the victim mentality, we go into this really deep inside of managing the mind. The victim mentality is actually you protecting yourself from feeling your emotions. It's actually the way that you learn to protect your feminine polarity. But your feminine polarity doesn't want protection, babe. She wants to stand in the fire. She wants to own all parts of her. And that's the work we do in managing. That's the work we do in terms of archetypes in the Witch's Coven, which is doing a live exploration starting on April 20th. I'm really excited. We're going to be together 4 weeks. There's going to be 6 calls. We're going to go through the different elements. We're going to go through the masculine and the feminine and really orient yourself to standing in your polarity, which is this duality, this all parts of you. And that's going to activate the divine mother archetype within you, which is such a beautiful process. And through that work, you then become empowered to make these shifts, to feel confident in looking at these parts of yourself that you may not have wanted to look at before. So, just to recap the ideas that we've been talking about here, your entire world is your projection. It is your movie. You're the director, you're the main character, you're the co-star, you're all of it, okay? It's all you. You're not just witnessing reality, you're actively shaping it. So, what does that mean? You actually do have the power. What you believe, what you expect, and what you suppress gets mirrored back to you. And if you don't address something internally, it will play out externally over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you get the message and you make the shift internally. It starts from within. When we're in the victim mentality, pause. There are 2 ways that you get to show up in your reality: the victim or the creator. When you're in the victim mentality, we think things are happening to us, and so we default to blame, which really is just our way of protecting ourselves from feeling our feelings, from feeling our emotions, from standing up for ourselves and creating that healthy detachment, that emotional separation. And so this might look like blaming other people, blaming other circumstances, blaming bad luck, blaming the universe, like the list goes on and on and on. In order to shift from the victim mentality, which is really just a loop, which is perpetuated by you not feeling your feelings, we get to feel our feelings and step into the creator perspective, which is where we take radical raunchy, which is where we take radical responsibility. And this is what shifts us from powerless to powerful. Let me just turn the page in my notes. The kicker here is that you really are powerful the whole time. It's just, what are you perpetuating? What are you giving your energy to, the victim or the creator? And the real power lies in not judgment, lies in being neutral. When you are the victim, when you are the creator, one is not good, one is not bad. It's just about noticing the way that you're using your energy and how you choose to use your energy based on any given circumstance. What triggers you into something? Why does that trigger you into something? What is the belief system that lives there? Why do you feel the need to protect yourself in that way? How can you rewire that protective mechanism? And the funny thing about this is the protection mechanisms often are externalized, like it's like someone else's fault or whatever, or we think like people aren't around us because they don't love us, and that might be a belief that we're perpetuating. But really, it's this underlying fear of abandonment. And so we unconsciously push people away, or we expect people to not want to be around us. And so the beliefs play this like kind of funny trick where it like makes it look like it's something happening outside of you, like out of your control. But when you go and you tap into the internal landscape and the emotions that you're feeling, you can notice what's going on in each room of your house, in each role that you're playing. And until you actually do that, those same patterns are going to be perpetuated, and you might mask them as something you can't control. When in all reality, if you took responsibility, radical responsibility, and were really fucking honest with yourself about what you're feeling inside, things would shift. You can feel the somatic liberation that happens, talking from experience, when you do shift these belief systems. Your body feels differently. And why is this? Because the beliefs are stored in our body, in our subconscious body, subconscious water body, which is the physical body. It's stored in the fascia, and our organs are fed by the fascia of our body, by the water in our body. Our water is programmable. And so what we're choosing to believe, the belief systems, is the it's really like a malware that we're running. And we're utilizing it to protect ourselves, but what it actually does is makes us sick. It makes us not able to recognize our true power. So, if you feel unworthy and you're programming your body with that, you attract situations that reinforce that belief. But it's not really the truth. It's just the projection that you're running, and thus that your body is programming itself to. And so this is why affirmation work can be really powerful. But the affirmations alone, the mental work alone, is not enough. It's about working with the entire system. A lot of the time we want to like cut it off at the brain, like it's just in the mind, but the mind is part of the body. You cannot separate the two. And so in order to actually fully reprogram your life to become the conscious driver, you have to learn to work with the body, with the belief systems, and with the mind. The belief systems are what fuel the projector, right? So it's not about changing the projection, it's about changing the systems in which the projection is running from or running on. You wouldn't go on your TV and expect to go on, you wouldn't go on your TV and go on Netflix and expect Disney Plus to pop up. No. So in order to get Disney Plus to pop up, you got to go to Disney Plus. You feel me? But they're not the same. They're not located in the same place. They're not running on the same software. You have to go to the source, to the software, to change what you're getting. Here are some signs that you might be in this projection cycle. If you feel like life is happening to you, or you have no control, or you keep seeing these like patterns that are repeating themselves, and you're like, that's interesting. That just happened over here. These same things can be really powerful and really fulfilling if you're in the creator mindset. But when you're in the victim mentality of this unwanted projection, it's like, oh, I didn't really like that. Oh, I didn't really like that. Oh, I didn't really. This is not bad. This is how your system operates. It's just about what end of the spectrum, what part of duality, polarity are you choosing to tap into? More work on polarity inside the Witch's Coven. If you're reacting really strongly to certain people or situations, the reaction is an indication, whether it's good or bad, it's an indication that something within you is a vibrational match to that thing, whether it be in a polarity sense, like your opposites, or it be in a sense of like that's matching you. And so getting to know your inner landscape and getting to know what's going on within you, getting to know your different archetypes can be really helpful and beneficial for understanding what actually is being reflected back to you without needing to make it mean anything about you or your sense of self or your value, etc., etc. These are very normal human things to experience, right? Doesn't make you bad, doesn't make you good, doesn't make you wrong. And that's why neutralization can be really powerful, which we dive deeper into inside of managing the mind. And so the next time that you experience one of these things that hints you off to like, oh, I'm in a projection cycle of like being in the victim mentality, I want you to invite in this practice. Pause and reflect. Choose not to react out of habitual nature. And this starts with awareness. That's the first component of this. If you're listening to this, you're probably already on that wave. When you see something that's triggering you or that makes you like, what? Ask, why is this showing up? What could this possibly be inviting me into? What is this showing me? What is this teaching me? What is this initiating me in? And sometimes we ask these questions and we don't get answers. Sometimes the answers come later. Like, just getting curious is really the key practice here. And then the next component of this is owning your influence. How am I contributing to this reality? How am I contributing to this mentality, to this pattern? How do I interact in these behaviors? How do I perpetuate this? And like I mentioned earlier, it can be in that polarity sense of like you're on one end of the spectrum, the other person's on the other end, or it could be in the sense of like you actually match that energy. And so this is where conscious boundaries really come in, setting the limits of what you're available for, and also inviting in compassion and acceptance, because through acceptance, that's when we invite in the law of non-resistance. And through the law of non-resistance, you accept it and you don't have to do anything with it. But just the acceptance, the neutralization of it is what separates you from it, is what stops you from playing in that dynamic with it. And then another way that you can work with this after you've began to own your influence is by shifting your internal state. When you shift your internal world, your external world has no choice but to shift with you. And you'll begin to notice it. You'll see how your beliefs might be showing up in the world around you. You'll see the way that your feelings are manifest outside of you. And the key here is to not make it mean anything about you, because this is just the natural order of the universe. It really has nothing to do with you. So, how can you own your power more? How can you own your experience without making it mean something about you? How can you utilize the way that the world is showing up in your benefit? Because it really is here to support you. And maybe that starts with actually forming the belief that the world is here to support you. I have plenty of resources for doing this work, and I would be enthused, delighted, honored to support you in your journey and to do this work together, because really it's not something that it's like you do it and you're done. It's a continual process. It's something you do again and again and again and again, and it becomes fun and it becomes more easeful, and it's like, oh, how can I work with this better, and how can I utilize this to my advantage more? And it's really just this beautiful explorative process, right? And it grows with you as you grow with it, which is what I would love to do with you. So, if you have any questions about what offer is the right fit for you, feel free to reach out on Instagram at magicalmads with a K. And I would love to support you in making a decision that feels really aligned for you. You can also visit my website. There's tons of free resources on there, as well as in this podcast. And I have a free ebook that's available, as well as some other ebooks that are available for purchase. And they're very informative, like whole classes in themselves, really. And then the courses are more like long-term explorative initiations, really. And those are also available with descriptions on the website. If you're wanting to do a live class with me, we have the Witches Coven, which is enrolling right now. We're starting our live rendition of this course on April 20th. There will be 6 calls in total. 4 weeks of calls. And then you get lifetime access to the curriculum. And I'm always updating, always improving, always making it better, so you know that you're in for some value. It's been so fun and so nice chatting with you here today. Thanks for joining me for my little afternoon coffee chat. I'll see you in the next episode. I love you guys. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us on this month's episode. We look forward to connecting with you deeper. Please drop a comment, leave us a review, leave some feedback. Let us know how you received this episode. And as always, our DMs are open. The website is live, and we welcome you into our world as you come alive. Oh, and bestie, make sure you check out the description of this podcast, because there's some special links there just for you. Okay, I love you. Bye.